Hi guys, I'm Aaron and I'm in the kitchen, and today I am showing you how to make homemade butter pie crust. I am using gluten-free flour today. However, everything that I'm doing you can do with all-purpose flour. It doesn't matter. I just have someone coming over with a gluten intolerance. Today I'm showing you a double recipe because what I'm making is chicken pot pie, so stick around for that video. You will see that video coming soon. But if you just want a single pie crust, then you only need 180 grams. But everything you see today will be doubled. Starting off with 260 grams of flour. Okay, so one difference between my butter pie crust recipe and a lot of the ones that you will see on the internet is the fact that I am using eggs, and I very well might use, if I need to, some cheese. And the only reason I'm saying this, you can use the eggs and the cheese with normal flour, but gluten-free flour in particular is very, very dry, and you really need to moisten up the flour in order to be able to work with it. So I'm adding eggs to my pie crust, but in the traditional pie crust recipe, you wouldn't add the eggs. So 2 eggs going into the bowl right now. And I'm using the food processor because it's fast, it's simple, and it's skipping steps for me. So you want to keep your butter ice cold. And one of the ways to keep it ice cold is to not work with it with your hands. Another reason why I'm using the food processor, because I don't have a pastry cutter. So for the butter, I'm using 250 grams of butter. And essentially the only thing we want to do is to be able to get this to come together and form a ball. I'm done with my scale now, so I'm gonna put my station back over here. Here we go. All right, and I'm using the food processor to go ahead and cut my butter up into little itty bitty pieces. What you say, Mr. Cameraman?
My favorite ASMR.
Oh yeah. All right, and that second half of butter going in there. All right, so, oh, maybe I should show you guys that. My butter is all like shredded up like cheese now. So that's the kind of consistency that you want, like really small bits. And then I changed to the dough hook attachment inside of my food processor. So if you have a food processor and it has the little plastic blades, if you didn't know what that was for, that is for dough making. And I have to sneeze. All right.
Or not.
Oh, I think my blade must not be all the way down. I should have done the butter first, y'all. That's my bad. I'm trying to get my thing to stay in place. All right, and we're just gonna keep pulsing this until we can get it to come together. Oh, there is something I forgot. You need water. And cold water, so as cold as you can get it. I forgot to pull out some ice earlier, so I'm just letting my sink run until it gets really, really cold. And I'm gonna slowly pour cold water in there. I've seen a bunch of instructions as to how much water you should put in, and it never works out. So just keep pouring the water until your dough comes together into a ball. But I will tell you how much water it takes me though. And I'm gonna start off with doing 250 milliliters which equates to 1 cup. So I'm gonna start there. I'm gonna go ahead and go big already because this is a double crust recipe anyway. So just gonna pour it in the top. And I already see that it's coming together. Wow, okay. Every time I've done this, it's been such a flop. So I'm very, very happy with this experiment because it sure is an experiment. But it looks like today, working with gluten-free flour, y'all, is really touch and go. But today it looks like my crust needs some extra flour in it in order to stay together. Or maybe I put a little bit too much water in it, and that's all right too. So if your batter looks like this, to me, that's a little bit too wet. I'm gonna put a little bit of flour in here. And I'm gonna work this until it's the consistency that I want. Let's see. Yeah, it's drier. Yeah. I'm gonna do a little bit more flour in here, and then I'm gonna transfer it over to a bowl. Yeah, now I'm happy with this consistency. This consistency I'm happy with. This is the first time I've ever been able to get this to actually turn out like something. But I already know that my flour is a little bit too moist. What a problem to have. If you've ever tried to make pie crust with gluten-free flour, you know the pie crust just crumbles and it's very sandy and it never ends up coming together. I'm flouring my bowl a little bit just so it's easier to handle to go in here, and I'm gonna knead it by hand a little bit more. Then I'm gonna use my, oh, I have flour down there that didn't actually incorporate. All right, no wonder I kept needing to use. All right, just peeling this crust off of my blades here. I have told you guys several times, do not stick your hand inside of a food processor. Not if you want to keep your fingers, but the dough hooks aren't actually blades. They're not going to cut you. If it turned on, it will hurt really, really bad, but you'll survive and you'll still have your fingers. And I think I need a spoon to scrape out that other bit there. So I'm going to do that, or a spatula. Yeah, let's use a spatula. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of salt into this, like a teaspoon. Why? Because if you don't put salt in anything you're making, you can't taste anything. You don't necessarily need salt for it to be salty, but if you don't put salt, you can't taste anything. All right, I'm still trying to dry out my dough a little bit more. And I think I want to flour my hand slightly just so I can knead this a little bit, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it in plastic wrap and we'll be done with it until it's time to go ahead and make our pies. Oh, this is exactly what I wanted. All right, the eggs are exactly what I needed in order to make this pie crust. All right, using my bench scraper to cut this into 2 separate portions. Still a little sticky, but that's all right. Maybe I need to do like that. All right, gave my hands a little bit of a wash, and now I'm just getting some plastic wrap. And I'm going to freeze this until I need to use it again. And There are 2 days in between when I'm freezing this and when I'm going to make this actual pie. Well, like a whole day, not 2 days. So I'm gonna freeze it and then I will defrost it in the refrigerator on the day that I'm actually making the pie. But you want your pie dough to stay cold. Stay cold. All right. 1. And we're just gonna wrap this very, very tight here. And I'll show you a trick in just a second, but we're gonna leave that there. Second one here, like that. All right, and we're wrapping. For the salt, you see how I added mine a little bit later on in the process. You do not have to be like me. You can add yours in around this, you can add yours in when you are doing your butter. There, you can add yours there. It doesn't have to be when I added mine. I just added mine there because I forgot about it. So, I am going to try to form this into a ball while it's in the plastic wrap still. As a ball like as I can get it anyway. And then I'm just gonna roll it while it's still inside of the plastic wrap, because this is going to get you started in rolling out your pie crust already. When you get ready to roll out your crust, this is gonna get you started in the shape. I couldn't really get it into a circle because I didn't wrap it in a circle, but that's all right. Have that in mind. You wanna try to wrap it in a circle so you can push it out to the edges. And this is not my tip, you guys. This is Claire Saffis's tip to do it in a circle like this. Or at least try to. All right, so these two are going in the freezer until I have to make pie. And that's how you make homemade butter pie crust.